It was the anniversary of Columbine. Remember Columbine? It was 16 years ago. Wow. And I feel like that was the last time we actually thought we could do something about gun control. And just to show you where we are on gun control now, Tim McGraw, the country music star, got in trouble with the NRA and assorted gun, I would say, nuts, because a friend of his fiddle player in his band had a kid who was killed at Sandy Hook. So Tim McGraw did a benefit for Sandy Hook Promise, a nonprofit charity whose, quote, mission of protecting children from gun violence. Okay, so the right-wing websites got on him for that. His opening act, quit, calling him a gun grabber, I think. And so Tim McGraw had to release a statement. He said, I support gun ownership. Of course, he's a country music star. I also believe that with gun ownership comes the responsibility of education and safety, most certainly when it relates to what we value most, our children. I can't imagine anyone who disagrees with that. Tim, you gotta imagine harder.
He doesn't really have to imagine.
But this is where we are with guns now. That if you say you're sad about dead kids, you're anti-gun.
No, but Sandy Hook was the turning point. I think you're right. If you looked forward from Columbine and asked yourself, what would it take to totally change the attitude towards gun regulation in the country, you would imagine a sort of massacre of the type that happened at Sandy Hook at a time when the White House was held by a Democrat, and that would
Sure.
do the trick. And it didn't.
It didn't.
And so it's a sign that people are very serious about. It's about the sign that people are very serious about keeping the Second Amendment.
Well,
and it's also a sign that politicians.
People or a lobby or a minority?
People. The lobby works because there are people and voters who care about it. And the way you can tell,
and they're wrong.
the way you can tell
Certainly
is that,
not how our government
is that no
system.
Democrats, with a very few exceptions, like Rosa DeLauro and
Correct.
Charles Schumer, in the last 10 years have said a peep against guns because
Right.
they know how people
Because they have
vote.
Because they know how much money the NRA
Heard
has.
it, though.
That's why they
When was the last time you met somebody that thinks for themselves? Like, seriously, I could count them on
That's
one
a large
hand.
Hold on,
actually,
wait a minute. You know, I mean, there are surely there are
They're
5 of
herded.
us here now.
Well, actually,
It's structuralism, though. Like, people don't have a chance to speak up. It's like, yes or no. I mean, I went to Orlando, Florida, doing a show for Vice, and these guys, hobbyists, had MAC-10s, 12-gauge shotguns, 45s, AR-15s in their backyard, and they're like, we practice gun safety. We want to show you what's going on. They were throwing grenades, and they almost shot our cameraman. We have footage. A bullet goes 6 inches past our cameraman and almost shoots him in the lens.
and that's actually the kind of
And you
violence
say
we
this
should be
is
talking
bad.
about.
This, it's good television, but it's
you're
bad.
a nut, Eddie.
It's good television, but it's
All
bad.
right.
I really want to get this in. This is actually the kind of violence we
Yes.
should be talking about. People don't realize this. They think the problem is bad guys with guns. There were 11,000 people who died of gun homicides last year. There were 20,000 people who committed suicide.
Right, well,
The problem is not bad guys with guns. The problem is good guys with guns who use them on themselves.
I'd shift it to saying the problem is actually to do with mental health in this
No,
country.
it's
and
not.
The way
Most
that
of
we
those people-
handle it, not to do with guns.
It's access to guns that's the problem.
the problem is that third of the country that's a bunch of fucking rednecks. All right, I have to.